Oh,
hunting,
dude.
right?
I have not even hit record on this. I'm not. It's on 0. Hey, forgive us. We didn't record our voices, but that's okay because we're not going back. We had a lot of good information for you. So.
Yeah. So you may notice that suddenly it sounds great and it didn't sound good before.
It didn't sound good before, but we're going to do our best to make sure that it matches. Not only to be armed, but disciplined, to which end a uniform and well-digested plan is requisite, and their safety and interests require that they should promote such manufactories as tend to render them independent on others for essential, particularly for military supplies. In other words, they should be disciplined, they should be well-formed, depending on each other for the supplies, for all these things, they should be well unified, right? Let's go on with another one. This is Thomas Jefferson. He said this in 1787. He said, what people can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that the people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. Why is that important? The spirit of resistance was not because they wanted to overthrow a government. The spirit of resistance was because the government was violating their rights. And this is the problem here, right? So in Virginia, they're saying, man, look, we're tired of this government doing this to us. They're trying to take away our Second Amendment. Keep in mind, right, that the one thing that they're attacking is individual rights. Keep in mind, individual rights, right? Here's two sides to this coin. Nowhere do you see the government saying, you know what, we're going to relinquish our authority, give it back to the people. Notice how they're always attacking the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press. Oh, Facebook better start censoring all these things that the government needs to get involved into. Or they start saying, man, the people aren't good enough to own their own firearms. You know why? Because there's going to be a lot of psychos out there. Even President Trump came out with some red flag laws, stuff like that. He was saying, we need to get psychopaths and criminals off the streets. We need to make sure that people who are mentally ill are off the streets. Who wouldn't agree with that? But who determines who's mentally ill? And at the end of the day, who's going to determine who's mentally ill?
No.
Right? That's the real question of the ages here. So coming back to the rally, we felt it important to talk about this because I'm going to read you something that the government tweeted from his office from Virginia this afternoon. I want you to hear the wording of this. This is crap, okay? And I want you guys to read this and I want you to ping pong with me. This is a statement from Governor Ralph Northam on the Lobby Day demonstration. Listen to this very carefully. We're all thankful that today passed without incident. The team successfully de-escalated what could have been a volatile situation.
Which the inference in that is there was escalation. It was
and our teams handled it.
And our teams handled it. Our teams calmed this down before it exploded.
Right.
As opposed to it was a peaceful protest where everybody was cooperative.
But there's a tweet here that AOC, I just watched, there was a tweet that she basically said there wasn't enough police on the ground. At the event.
Her of all people.
Yeah, she's saying there was not enough police. You know, it was crazy, whatever, crazy. There wasn't enough police, and he's saying our teams did this without escalation.
Tomorrow she'll blame police for
exactly. Now, if you see a lot of the pictures, this is what's amazing. You see every single nationality represented at this rally. Every single one of them. That is so beautiful. That is exactly what America is. That's God-given rights and freedom given to all man, not just some, not just the elites, not the rich, not those who are white, or just black. Everybody, every race was represented at this rally.
And it's very important that every race is represented in the gun rights movement because when you look back at the civil rights movement, especially during segregation, Jim Crow, the South, all of that, you had black people who their protection and their defense were firearms. So the black community has actually had this loyalty and this understanding of the Second Amendment that I think sometimes whites take for granted because we live in a very peaceful, prosperous nation where we haven't had to fight our own government or protect ourselves in a massive way.
And this is the argument, right? Just 70 years ago, we overthrew a tyrant who made all the same promises that, you know, if we just get rid of these firearms, man, we're going to have an economy again. We're going to do all these things. And he disarms an entire sect of people who were destroyed.
Yeah.
This was just 7 years ago. Pearl Harbor wasn't that long ago.
So when you have black people that look back at the civil rights movement, fighting the KKK, defending their neighborhoods,
Right.
And I can't remember what his name is, but there's a black gun rights activist who he talks about. He remembers in his neighborhood, his dad and his neighbors would stand guard with
Yeah.
their guns
Why?
out in the street.
Protecting their right to life, dude.
Precisely.
Against a tyrannical government, which was the South at that time.
Yeah,
Right?
the government was justifying, supporting, and
Yes.
defending this type of behavior.
Yeah. And dude, segregation was what nobody's denying the evils that has happened in America. It had nothing to do with the Constitution. Had everything to do with the sin of man. That man is so inherently sinful that he thinks he's above another man. Isn't that funny? But the rights that God gives us makes us all equal.
Yeah.
That if you want to take away my property, it's going to be met with force. Right? The only authority government really has is force. That's the only way they can carry something out. So if they start taking away guns, if they start taking away the freedom of speech, how are they going to regulate that? By force. The only thing they should be forced to do is eradicate evil. That's the only thing in this country. When you see things done wrong, that is their duty, is to make sure that evils are punished, according to Romans 13 and according to the Constitution. Their only role, right, was to ensure my God-given liberties. You don't believe me? Read anything of the first 10 amendments of the Constitution and anything that's in Article 1, 2, and 3 that has anything to do with the branches of government, right? Only restrains government. Never says a thing about the people. Because the people were supposed to be the arbiters of their own morality. And I'm getting lit about this because this frustrates me. That a government would stand against its own people? How come you're trusted? What makes you so much better than the rest of man? What makes you think that your morality is better than the neighbor next to you? Here, that ban that you did on the Capitol steps, did you do that with your security guards? Did you make sure that your security guards weren't packing either? Oh, I get it. The cops can, but we can't. Why? Because they hold a badge? Weren't you the same left that was protesting all the evils that were done against blacks just last year and the year prior when Obama was in office, President Obama was in office? Weren't you the same left that was condemning cops, saying that cops can't be trusted? Weren't you the same ones that say criminal reform needs to happen because government doesn't know what they're doing, but we're supposed to trust you with my guns? This is ridiculous. And I'm speaking life right now. Folks, it is time to stand now. We don't have a choice anymore. We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Folks, seriously, we need to be the ones to stand against this even now. So I'm going to keep going. It says that our team successfully de-escalated what could have been a volatile situation. This resulted from weeks of planning and extensive cooperation among state, local, and federal partners in Virginia and beyond. Because of potential threats, they said, potential escalation, right? It's always funny that it's the people, the ones that they're standing against themselves. Why? Why? Because you're violating their rights, dude. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, essentially. Listen to this. Virginia's law enforcement and first responders demonstrated tremendous professionalism. Keep in mind that AOC said there wasn't enough of them. I'm proud of their work. I have spoken with Colonel Settle of the State Police, Colonel Pike of the Capitol Police, and Chief Smith of the Richmond Police Department, as well as leaders of the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, and thank them for keeping Virginia safe. Listen to the next one. Thousands of people came to Richmond to make their voices heard. You didn't listen.
Yeah, read the next
Right.
couple of lines because he kind of nails that.
Today showed that when people disagree, they can do so peacefully. The issues before us evoke strong emotions, and progress is often difficult.
Right there. Progress is often difficult. So what you're saying is,
Who cares about their voices?
I'm right. Their voices are wrong. Hey, you guys said what you need to say, but we're still going
Yeah.
forward with it because you're all wrong.
Yeah. What's
And
the
you're
difference?
holding back progress. You're
Bro.
holding back my progress.
Here, what's the difference between that and King George telling our founders, your olive branches don't matter. Your peaceful petitions don't matter. Your rebuttals and complaints don't matter to me. What's the difference? Who made you king?
Yeah.
Who made you king? Dude, I find it so crazy that things like the site, The Atlantic, will write pieces like this. We need to repeal and replace the Second Amendment. But son of a gun, they won't replace and repeal the 16th and 17th Amendments. Or anything after the 10th, really. Right?
Yep.
They won't repeal these things, but they'll repeal that? You know what I mean? So what they really want to do is control the people, right? That's really the ultimate goal here is control. Because only government grows to this, not the people.
And if you look at what happened in Virginia, you see that you had 90-something counties that determined they were going to be sanctuary counties. That they weren't going to follow this.
Wasn't it 98% of the counties?
It was some outrageous number. So if you have somebody who's not trying to be a king or a ruler, they would look at that situation and go, oh,
Yeah!
nobody agrees with this.
Funny how they want majority rule in their national election, but they won't listen to majority of the counties in their state! This is how hypocrisy works, dude. You know what I mean? This is what's so frustrating about this issue.
Yeah, and that's, so when you look at that and you see the vast majority of the counties in Virginia go, we don't agree with this, we're not going to sign up for this is wrong. Then you have a governor who says, I hear your voice, I really don't care what you say, I'm still
Exactly
passing it
right.
because I think it's right. Well, I'm not for the idea of unadulterated democracy, but I am for the idea of representation. So even if we get past the whole democracy idea, which the vast majority of people seem to be against this whole movement, at least representation. You're not representing what your people are
Nope.
saying. Therefore, you have become
Not
a
even
tyrant.
close.
You have
Not
become
even
a
close.
dictator.
Exactly.
And people will say, well, you're being extreme about calling them a tyrant or a dictator. They're not doing what their people have asked them to do.
Dude, are they not being extreme for basically saying that gun owners are a threat to people?
Yeah.
Is that not extreme?
Well, think about the idea of having massive amounts of police and FBI and security protecting. What are they protecting? And I'm
Keep going.
not just going
I know where you're going with it. Go with
stereotypical
it.
conservative, but think about it. What are they protecting? What are they afraid of? They're afraid of insurrection.
Why?
They're afraid of being attacked by the people.
Yeah.
So now they're afraid of their own people. So now they're protecting themselves from their own people. And you might say, well, yeah, that makes sense. No, do you see how twisted that logic is?
I know.
You've set your
I know,
face
dude.
against your people so badly that you're now afraid your people are going to tear you from your position.
Yeah.